Hello, I'm Father Joe Gambala, pastor of St. Malachy Catholic Church in Sterling Heights, Archdiocese of Detroit. Welcome to Saints of the Day. Today is December the 29th, and our saint of the day is Thomas Becket. Well, Becket is a well-known saint, especially for people who like good medieval movies, because the movie entitled Becket, starring Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton, is a very famous movie. And it's pretty accurate. We get the gist of what happened to Becket and what he was about. Becket was a close friend of the king. He had been a friend when the king was young, when the king was still a prince, and stayed friends with him when he became king, King Henry II of England. And he was a good administrator. He was a good chancellor of the funds. He also would ride into battle with Henry, and he also would go drinking and, well, spending time with the maidens in town with Henry. It was not exactly a life of a saint at all. But Thomas, for whatever reason, did have a conscience. And he decided early on that maybe I'll be a deacon, but no more, and got the Archbishop of Canterbury to make him a deacon. But he didn't take any assignments. He didn't function as a deacon. He simply spent all his time being the chancellor and riding around with the king. Well, the Archbishop of Canterbury got into a fight with King Henry II. The fight was about who could be tried in what court. There were the king courts and there were the church courts. And the Archbishop of Canterbury maintained that someone who was of the clergy could only be tried in a church court. And this particular clergy person was being charged with the crime of rape. And King Henry said he should be tried in the king's court. So this fight went back and forth. And Henry II got tired of battling the church. Well, the Archbishop of Canterbury passes away, so Henry II comes up with this amazing idea. I know what I'll do. I'll take my good friend Tom here and make Tom the Archbishop of Canterbury. Well, Tom has his reservations about this, but Henry says, no, it'll be great, and all my problems will be solved. No more fighting with the church. Thomas Becket, of course, he's still only a deacon, so he's ordained a priest, and then he's ordained a bishop, and he's made the Archbishop of Canterbury. And in the course of the ordination, something happens to Tom. He falls in love with God. He sells all of his personal possessions, which were many, and gives it to the poor. There's a funny scene in the movie. We don't know if it's historically accurate, but it's easy to believe that it was, where he's giving away, and one of the things he's giving away is all of his blankets. And one of his assistants says to him, he's just going to sell that blanket and buy some wine with it. And then Tom says, well, then he'll be getting warm another way. So, well, what happens? Well, what happens is a lord, one of the underlings of the king, Henry, is accused of killing a priest. And Thomas Becket wants that man charged in the church court and tried there. And Henry only wants him tried in the king's court, where it's going to go very easy for the Lord. It would go much harder for him in the church court. And Becket refuses. In fact, Becket excommunicates that lord. And that infuriates King Henry. And Henry wants Becket killed, so Becket flees and goes to Rome. And the Pope decides maybe we can wait this out, sends Becket to a monastery in France, where for many, many years Becket stays. He's still the Archbishop of Canterbury. He never resigns that office, so no new archbishop can be placed there. But there he is, and after many years and after much negotiation involving the King of France, Becket is allowed to return to Canterbury. And what does he do? He reissues the interdict and the excommunication against this lord. And Henry II, on Christmas Eve, rather drunk, says to four of his knights, "Oh, would somebody rid me of this accursed priest?" And so these knights, interpreting Henry's words as a license to kill the Archbishop of Canterbury, get on their horses and ride the night to Canterbury, which isn't all that far from London. And as Thomas Becket begins to celebrate midnight mass, these knights with their swords martyr him in front of the altar.